Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome to all of our beloved viewers to the Voice of the Cape's YouTube and Facebook page. My name is Amir Adams, and I will be presenting today's particular matric revision session that, of course, will be facilitated by Ms. Fatima Adamson. As a reminder, this is the Voice of the Cape's matric revision program in collaboration with our esteemed sponsor. And for those who would like to be part of finding out more details pertaining to our sponsor for this year's matric revision, the sponsor is none other than the Two Oceans Graduate Institute, which is an accredited online platform where you can become a primary or a high school teacher by studying in the privacy of your home. As I indicated, for those who would like to find out more, you may go and visit their website, and that is www.togi.ac.za if you would like to find out more information, inshallah. With that said, as I indicated, our esteemed presenter, or rather our esteemed facilitator for today's paper, is none other than Ms. Fatima Adamson of Futures Academy, and she will be going through the content for Religion Studies Paper 2. And for all of those who are tuned, or rather viewing our YouTube page as well as the Facebook page of the Voice of the Cape, we encourage you once again to please forward and share this link with all of your family members, and specifically those who have matriculants within their family. Ensure that this goes out to all of them as they are trying to prepare effectively so for the upcoming trial examinations and also the NSC exams at the end of the year. Without further ado, we immediately hand over to our esteemed facilitator to facilitate today's session, and that is for Religion Studies, Paper 2, inshallah. Without further ado, we hand over to our esteemed facilitator, Ms. Fatima Adamson, inshallah. All yours, ma'am.
Shukran so much, Amir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Students, learners, and very good evening. Alhamdulillah. Let us start. Okay, so boys and girls, we are going to be preparing for our paper two, which, as you can see, based on our NSC timetable, will be written in the second session at 2 p.m. on the 21st of November 2024. And so you do have a bit of time between paper one and paper two to prepare adequately for this particular exam. So, grade 12s, what are we going to expect of you to cover in preparation for this particular exam? Please note that this comes directly from the exam guidelines that the department has specified with regards to religious studies and what to focus on for paper two. And so, if you don't have it yet, please make sure that you do download it from the WCED, the Department of Basic Education's website, and you'll find it there. Okay. All right. So paper two takes a bit of a different, type of structure in comparison to paper one, which has a compulsory question, which is comprised of multiple choice questions. Paper two does not have that. However, the mark allocation remains the same, which is 150 marks for 2 hours. So, in this particular paper, you have the choice of answering 3 out of 4 or 5 questions. And so, that will carry 50 marks each, and it will make up for your 150 marks. And so in this particular question paper, you are going to be expected to present a position on certain issues from the religious studies or religion studies perspective, and to argue this position and critique it. And so you may get a source which will act as a stimulus as well, and so prepare for that. You may get a particular article, a little short extract as well, just so that it kind of guides you on the particular topic. And so in paper two, the following topics are going to be assessed, right? And like I said, with paper one, these topics are not per question. Don't expect that question one in paper two will just be on central teachings in one religion. However, you can get a combination of topics within a question. And so, my advice is to make sure that you prepare for all of these topics. In the event it does get mixed in one question. And so the first topic that we are going to be looking at is the central teachings in one religion. And here, also note that paper two is quite open ended in the in relation to specialization in one religion. So, like I tell my grade 12s, very important for you to become a specialist in one religion. And so, if they do leave it open ended, if the question is open ended in the sense of they ask you in any one religion, discuss the central teachings, you know that if Islam or Christianity or Judaism is your religion of choice, you know this topic within your specialized religion. Okay. And so we do find that in paper two that they are quite open-ended, and they leave it up to the learner's religion of their choice. Okay, and so the first topic is central teachings in one religion. Then we have roles of rituals, which is a bit of grade 11 work that is assessed in grade 12 level. And then internal differences within a number of religions. Again, here we see with specialization in one religion. Very, very rarely we'll find that they are specific in these type of questions, whereby they ask you in Christianity, discuss the internal differences. They will keep it open-ended more often than not. Okay. Then we have history and present-day dynamics of inter-religious relationships in South Africa, as well as the international community. And for this session, I'm going to go up until this particular point, and then in the next section, inshallah, I'm going to cover the final points of paper two preparation. Okay, but let's just go through it as well. And so, normative sources in various religions, ways of interpreting these normative sources, looking at hermeneutics and the study of the interpretation of normative sources. Then we look at also religion and the sciences. And so, here, your Big Bang theory and how religions respond to it. And then also your Darwin's theory of evolution, and looking at how religion responds to that as well. Then your third last topic within this paper is looking at secular worldviews. And so this is your atheism, agnosticism, humanism, and materialism, and how religions have responded to this as well. And then finally, looking at the influencing factors behind at least two of these secular worldviews. And then finally, my favorite topic, which is the major social problem, and also looking at how religions can respond to this particular question. But when I do the second session on paper two, I'm going to give you some advice with regards to how to answer this particular question and how it is assessed. And it's usually your first question in your question paper, and I encourage all my learners to do this question because it is quite broad and quite open-ended, and also general knowledge based, so that they are afforded the highest marks for this question. Okay. All right. So, with the first topic in the exam guidelines, it looks at the central teachings in one religion. So, like I said before, grade 12s, you're going to specialize in one religion, and you're going to go through these teachings in that particular religion. And so, for the central teachings, we look at the nature of divinity. And here we need to look at what is the nature of God, the nature of the Supreme Being. How does this religion view God? The nature of the world is going to speak to how creation of the world came about, how that particular religion is going to view the nature of the world, and then nature of humanity with reference to the community and the individual. So what is that relationship between the community and the individual in that particular religion? And then what is the place and responsibility of humans in the world? So how does that religion view humans, where their positions are? And then, second, lastly, we have the origin and the role of evil and how to overcome it. And how does that religion respond to where does evil come from, the origin from it of it, what is the role of evil, and how can those adherents overcome evil. And then finally, it is life after death. As we know, with the major eight religions that we do study in religion studies, how does that religion of your choice view life after death? And so I do encourage my learners to choose a particular religion in this case, right? Because I do what we should understand is that we live in a predominantly African country, or people who adhere to African traditional religion, and so I'm going to use African traditional religion to show you how these central teachings gets broken down. So, with African traditional religion, the nature of the divine, and so this I've taken directly from memos of past papers, so that you can also see how the examiner is wanting you to respond to. I always tell my learners your question papers in preparation for your trials and also your final exams is your go-to, because your memorandums are going to give you that kind of points whereby you may not have gotten it in the booklets that the Department of Basic Education developed, or the textbook that we use as well. And so you can use these memos in order to prepare as well. And so, for the nature of divinity in African traditional religion, they believe in the existence of a supreme being. Just by saying that or writing that, you are afforded those 2 marks. Okay, and then mentioning the different names of the supreme beings in the different parts of Africa, such as Bembe, Oludumare, and Umvelikangi, right? Mention some of the names there. Even if you just mention Bembe, right, you get the 2 marks over there. Then the supreme being does not communicate directly with the living. So this is the nature of divinity within African traditional religion. They believe that the supreme being does not contact and does not communicate directly with the living, and hence why the fourth point here says that communication is conducted through intermediaries, which we know are the ancestors, also known as the living dead. And so, with that, your African tribes are also going to recognize the existence of different gods, such as Oludumare, Bembe, and Mfelikangi. Okay, so how does African traditional religion view the nature of humanity with reference to the community and the individual? And here you're going to state the principle of Ubuntu, right? And this principle um, is, in essence, how African traditional religion views this relationship between the community and the individual. And so, there is this interconnectedness between the community and the individual. Individualism is strongly discouraged within African traditional religion, and this principle of I am related, therefore I am, means that this human being cannot be reduced to anything else, right? Cannot be reduced to anything else. And so the individual is going to depend on the community for growth. Life after death, right? How does African traditional religion adherents view life after death? And so, with ATR, we know that when a human being dies, he or she is going to depart to the land of the spirits. And so, this world after death is considered as a place which is a space that is occupied by the living dead. And so from this world, they keep watch over the deeds of the living and protect or punish them, and sometimes also appear to them. And so death takes them away from planet Earth, but does not take away life from them. And so only those also who have led good lives can become ancestors, right? And so that is how African traditional religion adherents view life after death. So, just how this particular question is assessed. And so you have your little extract over there. And then with reference to one religion you have studied, answer the following. So notice that again, open ended over here. And here we do, let me mention that in paper two, we do have a tendency of asking very long questions, right? Or expecting 16 marks questions, 14 mark questions. And so we know if the mark allocation is going to be 14, you have to give 7 points, right? And so at Tama grade 12s, where are you going to get those points from if the textbook doesn't give you that? It's the memorandums that is going to give you that knowledge base over here, okay? And so again, notice that it's in any one religion. So your specialized religion is going to come about here. And if you're going to choose Islam, you have to choose Islam in 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. You cannot switch, right? We find that when we are marking, learners switch and therefore you lose out on the marks. And so very important to understand that when I advise you to specialize in that one religion, you need to know the central teachings within that one particular religion. And so make sure that you follow through in 1.1 to 1.3 with the same religion in order to not lose marks. Okay, so like I just said now, your responses should be based on ATR and throughout, right? And also focus on the religion of your choice. Um, you will not be rewarded for any marks if you don't adhere to the instruction of any one religion. You cannot change over there, okay? Okay, then the role of ritual. So, Gretel, this is a more grade 11 topic. However, just to cover your bases within this particular topic, know what a ritual is, right? They like to just throw this question in here or there. Know what a ritual is, right? So, we know that rituals are religious practices with some degree of specificity, something like that, that separates them from everyday religious activities. Okay, so you need to emphasize the role that rituals play in a religion, and so know that rituals are going to unify cultures within one religion. It also allows believers to express and reaffirm their belief systems, and also strengthens the religious identity of that particular religious community. It can give shape to emotions and help humans come to terms with major life events as well. And through the repetition of these rituals, it can be a source of instilling religious values, attitudes in the lives of worshippers. Okay. All right. So the third topic is the topic of internal differences. Okay. So understand grade 12s that this particular topic is going to look at the internal differences or differentiations within one particular religion. And so for this topic, it is the understanding that within Islam, you have your Sunnis and your Shias, right? And so we're going to look at the differences within a particular religion. For your Christians, it's going to be your Eastern Orthodox Christians, your Roman Catholics, and also your Protestants. And so when we look at internal differences, it is within the same religion. And so the three subtopics that is going to relate to these differences is going to be your religious teachings, your governance, and also your practices. Okay. So I'm going to go through Christianity and show you how the internal differences varies between beliefs and teachings, the practices, and also governance over here. Okay. This particular topic, I do encourage my grade 12s to do because it is kind of more of a verbatim question. You can prepare quite adequately for it as well. And so when we speak about beliefs and teachings, We're looking at what in Christianity, the interpretation of the Bible. How does the Catholics interpret the Bible? How does the Protestants, and how does Eastern Orthodox? Usually, year grade 12s also note that it's usually two internal differences, right? Two sects within the particular religion. So you're not going to compare Catholics, Protestants, and Eastern Orthodox. It's either Catholics or Protestants, or your Catholics and your Eastern Orthodox is Orthodox Christians. Okay. So for the interpretation of the Bible, you are going to say that your Catholics recognize the Bible and the oral tradition, which has been constructed over the centuries through various dogmas and doctrines, right? Whereas your Protestants, as we can see, are going to only recognize the Bible and its scriptures as a source of authority in the religion. And so that is, they base their behavior on what is written in the Bible and nothing else. And so see the difference over there. I also say to my grade 12s, because when we go down to governance and also practices, there is similarities there as well. But because this question is more focused on the differences, I encourage grade 12s to choose a religion where there is distinct differences between Sunnis and Shias, right? And so it makes it easy for you to kind of learn and also repeat in your question paper. Okay, so with your Christians, you're also going to have the differences within the veneration of saints. And so with your Catholics, they're going to pray to saints and they're going to believe in the purgatory, and they worship the Virgin Mary as a holy figure after the establishment of various doctrines over the centuries. The Protestants here, they do not believe in praying to saints, and they don't also believe in the purgatory or worship the Virgin Mary, right? And so you'll notice that your Catholics and your Eastern Orthodox Christians are going to be quite similar. And so if you do choose Christianity, I'd advise that you do your Catholics and your Protestants, because there is distinct differences there. Okay. And then your holy sacraments is another belief and teachings that there are differences in within Christianity. And so your Catholics are going to believe that faith in God alone is not enough, and you um, have to is not enough to be saved, sorry, by Jesus Christ, right? Whereas your Protestants believe that only faith in God alone is enough to be saved by Jesus Christ over there. Okay. Right, the Virgin Mary, there's also differences within the beliefs and teachings in Catholicism and also Protestantism, right? So your Catholics are going to believe in the concept of original sin, which is what makes the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary seem necessary to the Church of Rome, whereas your Protestants are going to reject the Immaculate Conception, and it's more to do with the idea that Christ's humanity and therefore Mary's humanity needed to be the same in its nature as the rest of mankind for him to be saved. And then the Holy Spirit is another internal difference here with under the subtopic of beliefs and teachings, right? And so here, don't get it wrong, guys. We've noticed that learners get it mixed up over here, right? The Holy Spirit for your Catholics and your Protestants proceeds from the Father and the Son, right? And so for your Protestants and for your Catholics, it's the same, right? Whereas your Eastern Orthodox Church believes the Holy Spirit proceeds only from God the Father over there. And so your Eastern Orthodox Christians are going to differ now to your Protestants and your Catholics over there. Okay, so governance, right? And here, grade 12s pay attention to when they're asking for the internal differences in governance, right? And so governance is going to be speaking about the leadership within that particular religion, right? How leadership is ordered in the particular religion, right? Who leads the people, who stands in front on the pulpit. And so for Christians, the Pope, sorry, for the Catholics, the Pope is going to be considered the representation of Jesus Christ on earth and the figure of authority of the Catholic Church. And so your Protestants are going to differ here, and they're going to say that the Pope is an important figure because he remains one of the principal advocates of the Christian religion. And so they negate that he's a representation of Jesus Christ on earth. Your Catholics are also going to say that his word is authority. So the Pope's word is authority for them and is considered infallible. And your Catholics are also going to recognize the authority of your bishops and the Catholic hierarchy as well. Your Protestants are not going to recognize the Pope as the source of authority because they believe that no human being is infallible, only the word of God is. Okay. And then your practices, right? So what we notice is that learners get practices and beliefs and teachings kind of mixed up. Okay, so your practices are those things that you do that is different within the religions, right? So your teachings are going to relate to what are the core kind of doctrines and dogmas that differs within Christianity. So when we ask for practices, it's something that they do physically. And so celibacy is one of it, right, within Christianity. And so in the Catholic Church, celibacy is practiced and it's obligatory on priests in the Catholic Church, right? Whereas and also the practice of celibacy, which is the abstaining from marriage and sexual relations, is encouraged and also praise or considered praiseworthy. Your Protestants, they don't accept that virginity is superior to marriage, or celibacy is superior to marriage, and so they reject celibacy there as well. Okay, your Eastern Orthodox churches, they have a bit of both, and so they will have married priests and also celibate monastics, right? And they do feel that celibacy is optional within the Eastern Orthodox churches. Okay, so how this question is assessed over here comes from the November 2019 paper 2 exemplar question. And so we see here again the extract will be there just to give you some stimulus. And then 1.2.1, name two branches that exist within one religion and discuss the differences in terms of teachings and practices. 12 marks each. All right. So the naming, right? Sunnis, Shias, you get the 4 marks for that. All right. And then the 8 marks are going to come from the naming of those differences, right? So for 1.2.1, you get the 4 marks for the naming, right, of the two branches, and then you get the 8 marks for the explanation of the differences within teachings. Note that for 1.2.2, you don't get the 4 marks for naming because obviously you're now going to follow through with the same religion that you chose in 1.2.1. So you don't get the 4 marks for naming Sunni and Shia Islam again. So for 1.2.2, you're going to have to give, if it's 12 marks, it's 3 points per sect, right? And so 3 points for Sunni Islam, the differences in what they practice, and then 3 points for Shia Islam. And so that is how you will then get your 12 marks. Okay. So again, grade 12s, please make sure that you do stick to the same religion within 1.2.1 and 1.2.2. So what we've noticed, and after each exam we do kind of an analysis, that learners do manage to name the branches. However, they do kind of get mixed up with with teachings and governance, and they're also quite generalized as well. And so, again, grade 12s, I'm advising you that if you go to your question papers and you go to the memos, you will see how this particular question is answered. And so go with that, right? Go with how the previous memos have answered the particular question, and you are going to take your guidance from that. Okay. um, we also noticed that the question expected learners to refer to one religion, and here learners would then do the swapping between two religions, and then also the marks for the naming of the branches and the marks for the teachings and practices. So, like I said, 4 marks for that naming in the 1.2.1, but then your 8 marks will make up that 12 marks. Okay. However, in 1.2.2, the full 12 marks from mentioning the differences and not getting that 4 marks again for the naming of the branches. Okay. Oh, another notice that we or another issue that we pick up is that learners give the similarities instead of the differences. And so learners overlook the words, discuss the differences in terms of teachings and practices. They don't stick to the one religion, so they lose a lot of marks by changing religions. Um, Again, educators are encouraged to stress to candidates the importance of reading the instructions, as failure to do so will disadvantage them during the marking process. Okay. All right. And then our final topic for today, grade 12s, is looking at the history and present day dynamics in interreligious relationships in South Africa and in the international community. Okay, and so a bit of background with regards to this particular topic, right? As we know, there are many religions in the world. And so the relationships between these religions can either be intra-religious or inter-religious relationships. And so intra is always going to be within the same religion, or inter-religious is going to be between different religions. And so intra, um, different branches within the same religion, and inter, occurring between two different religions. And so, with this particular topic, there's a special focus on interfaith dialogue. And so, here we do find that a nice extract will come along, or will be put in this particular question, and comprehension questions will be asked on the particular topic. However, some content will be assessed as well. Okay, so in this particular topic, you're going to be required to study the relevant topics, whereby we look at the cooperation between religions pre 1994 and post 1994 in South Africa. Okay, and so it can be within South Africa, also in Africa and the rest of the world. And so, in this topic, looking at the certain South African organizations, like the South African Council of Churches, the NRLF, which is the National Religious Leaders Forum, PROCMURA as well, which is the Program for Christian Muslim Relations in Africa, IFAPA as well, which is the Interfaith Action for Peace in Africa, and then the ACRL, which is the African Council of Religious Leaders, and the World Conference of Religions for Peace, which is the WCRP, and then the more common one, which is the World Parliament of Religions, which is WPR, and then the last one, which is the World Council of Churches, which is the WCCC. Okay, so in this particular topic, I usually encourage my adult learners to do this topic because they kind of have more life experience, and we find that maybe 2 out of the 5 questions in this question will be you know will be based on the curriculum, right? Which is this subtopics over here. But the other questions will be, based on the particular text, and some general kind of knowledge questions as well. But the two most important things that we need to understand here in this particular topic is the comparison between the cooperation between religions before 1994 and after 1994 in South Africa. And then also the explanation of the historical background, the purpose, and the impact of these interreligious organizations, right? And so here I encourage learners to know at least two of them, right? Just to cover your bases. They can be specific here as well. They can ask for IFAPA, right? IFAPA, Procmura, NRLF, quite the common ones that they quite specific with, right? But if you can do two and prepare yourself for two of these organizations, looking at the historical backgrounds, their purpose, and the impact. And the Department of Basic Education's booklets are quite comprehensive when it comes to looking at these religious organizations. And I'll show you shortly how this can be assessed as well. Okay, so pre 1994, you need to understand that during the apartheid times, all aspects of society, including religion, were dominated by the policy of the apartheid system. And so only Christianity was recognized in public and taught in schools. Um, Other religions were simply ignored or misinterpreted, right? And then also religions were kept apart from each other, and even within a particular religion, there was separation along racial lines. During these struggle years, religion proved to be, however, a powerful source and force of resistance and unity amongst different religions. And so leaders from these different religions stood together and often led to the protests in a strong show of inter-religious cooperation. And so here we have certain examples of these religious leaders, which includes Reverend Dr. Frank Chikane, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Reverend Dr. Alan Busak, Archbishop Dennis Hurley, Imam Harun, Chief Rabbi Cyril Harris, and also Ashwin Trikamji. Okay, so that's pre 1994, right? And so what happened now post 1994? And so we know that our country had then changed from a Christian state to a secular state. And so the Bill of Rights in the Constitution guaranteed the freedom of association. And with the release of Nelson Mandela, he called upon religious communities to work together um, in order to build the new South Africa. We also saw the NRLF being formed in 1997, and then obviously religion studies, which incorporates the study of all religions, and the encouragement of cooperation between religions was introduced. And here some people also get religion studies confused with biblical studies. As we know, biblical studies was enforced on all school going pupils back in pre 1994. However, it subsequently had changed to religion studies, which is the incorporation of all religions. There is now, post 1994, a fair allocation of time in the state media for all religions within South Africa. The opening of parliament and government ceremonies are shared by different religions as well. And so that's post 1994. Okay, so here comes the second um, the second subtopic underneath this particular topic, which looks at the history and interreligious dynamics within South Africa. And so I'm giving you the example of IFAPA, right? And so and I've taken this directly from the DBE booklet on this particular topic, right? And so, like I said, you're going to make sure that you cover your bases by doing at least two of these organizations. And so you need to know the historical background of the particular organization. And so for IFAPA, which is the Interfaith Action for Peace in Africa, was founded in 2002. You just saying that it was founded in 2002 is a mark, right? And so it includes representatives from African traditional religion, the Baha'i faith, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and Judaism. Saying that gets you 2 marks over there, right? They can and more often ask you the purpose of IFAPA, right? And so here the purpose is to unite religious communities across Africa, to work together for peace on the continent, and also to prevent inter-religious conflict. They do intervene in interreligious conflicts as well. And the protection of human life and the environment is quite important to this organization. And yeah, and the achievements of these religious organizations can also be assessed, right? And so the establishment of the registration of national chapters in more than 30 countries in Africa. And so IFAPA one of the achievements is that they intervene in certain conflict areas. They sent a women's delegation to Northern Europe, and also participated in the election of parliament members in Togo, right? They participated also in the World Social Forum held in Kenya, and established the IFAPA Women Network and Regional Youth Network as well. They also established rural water projects in Rwanda and Mbagani water project in Kenya as well. And as you can see, this comes from our textbook, which is quite outdated actually, but still a good resource, which is the Shooter's Top Class Religion Studies Grade 12 textbook. Okay. Okay, so how do we answer this question? And so this comes from the November 2020 paper two, name two well-known South African religious leaders you would put in this category and give reasons for your answer. And so understand that we're not looking at political leaders, we're looking at religious leaders. And so know their contribution to interfaith dialogue, to building interreligious relationships within religions. And so Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he rallied the churches to fight apartheid and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Chief Albert Lutuli as well, and he spoke against apartheid as well, and he became the president of the ANC, and also later was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize as well. Imam Harun was also an anti apartheid activist who died in detention. And then you have your Dr. Bayez Norde and also Dr. Frank Jikani over there, and Ashwin Trikamji, who was a Hindu leader, and he presented or represented the African Hindu Mahasabha, which is the body of all Hindu branches in South Africa. And he was also the first chairperson of the NRLF. Here, straight from a question paper, compare the state of religious cooperation in South Africa before and after 1999. And so, must know that before 1999, Christianity dominated and undermined all other religions, right? Then there was no cooperation until all religions were united against apartheid pre 1999. Then we have intra religious relationships were determined by race as well. After 1994, sorry, all religions treated each other with mutual respect. It was enshrined in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Religious cooperation is encouraged as it's good and healthy, and also intra-religious relationships cut across racial lines. So again, a question out of one of the past papers: evaluate the impact of the African Council of Religious Leaders. Okay, so here they're specific, they're asking for the ACRL. Okay, so when we evaluate, we need to look at the successes and the failures, right? evaluation of this particular organization is going to look at what were their successes and what were the failures. And so for this particular organization, um, the successes is highlighted and the failures are is highlighted when we speak about evaluating the impact of the ACRL. And so with the ACRL, they successfully brought religious leaders in Africa together to create an atmosphere of inclusivity, respect, and dialogue. They preserved the religious identity of various religions, and they uphold the principles of representation and solidarity and unity. They also support locally led interfaith activities and services, and they participated in the World Social Forum as well. And so the positive work has been done, has made a difference to those communities, and is obviously greatly appreciated. Some of their failures is that there's still much suffering in Africa, sorry, as a result of the conflict, and through that suffering, there is lots of poverty and lack of resources within Africa. And not all countries and government authorities recognize and give support to the African Council of Religious Leaders for peace. They do have limited resources and rely on public donations. Okay, so that is it for today, grade 12s. I don't want to rush it as well, right? And so hence why I've decided to do the third part so that we go through the next topics, because those topics are quite your more common topics and more the topics that I would advise learners to do. So I want to spend some time on those topics. And so next time, we will start with normative sources, go to secular worldviews, look at the topical issue, the social problem, and how religions respond to it as well. And then also Darwin's theory of evolution, religion, and the sciences, as we do find that matriculants tend to go towards those questions. And so in the next session, we will be covering those, but starting with normative sources. Shukran so much, everyone. And inshallah, I hope that this has helped with regards to your preparation for your paper two. And also, please share as well with your schools, so that we do reach a lot of learners, and this can be a source to aid learners in their preparation for the exams. Shukran so much, Amir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. We say shukran, jazakallah khair, and thank you very much, Baitra Makasi, to Ms. Fatima Adamson from Futures Academy, who gave over or facilitated today's session pertaining to content for religion studies paper 2. I hope that all of the matriculants out there have benefited greatly from Ms. Adamson's discourse, and we thank her very much for honoring us for today's session, inshallah. Just as a reminder to all of our beloved viewers, to the Voice of the Cape's Facebook and YouTube pages, this is the Voice of the Cape's online Matric revision program for the year 2024. And of course, the Matric revision sessions are proudly being sponsored by the Two Oceans Graduate Institute, which is an accredited online platform where you can become a primary or a high school teacher by studying in the privacy of your home. For more information, you may visit their website www.togi.ac.za, or you may call them on 021 829 7015. As a reminder to all of our beloved viewers, please like and share this on the VOC's YouTube and Facebook pages, towards all of those students who are preparing for the upcoming matric examinations, the trial exams, as well as the NSC exams later in the year. And once again, in conclusion, we'd like to thank the esteemed Ms. Fatima Adamson of Futures Academy for so beautifully facilitating today's session for the Religion Studies Paper 2 content. Of course, as a reminder, if you'd like to find out more information pertaining to our other matric revision sessions that has already been held and that there still is to come, then you may go on the YouTube page or the Facebook page of the Voice of the Cape and see the content of the other sessions as well, inshallah. That is all from our side. We'd like to say shukran, Baitra Makasin. Thank you very much to everyone for viewing today's session, and we wish you everything of the very best. Specifically to all of our matriculants, we wish you all of the very best as you prepare for your upcoming exams, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.